Hi everyone, welcome back to a part 2 of my my custom decal mod video. And our last video we kind of left off in Blender. We have created our painted frame, and we had created our decals, and we made a root object, and we put a model locator pin. And so we're pretty much done with the modeling aspect in Blender, and now comes the fun part, is getting this model inside the game. For that, you got to work with files, and every time I talk to somebody on Messenger or answer on my YouTube video, working in Blender is the easiest. That's the easy part. You get feedback in real time. You can see changes as you make them. Files are a little bit more mysterious, and the only way that you can see if your files are working or not is to basically open the game and check your mod and make sure that it's working correctly. And that takes a lot of time. So every mistake that you make in the files, that's just more time spent. So if you watch some of my other videos and I talk about files, you know that you have a base file and you have a def file that's located in your game folder. And for those of you who haven't watched those videos, I'm just going to show you where those files are located at. If you go into File Explorer and you go to your PC, and then this is for most games installed. Now, if you move your game files to another hard drive or to another place on your C drive on your computer, then you're going to have to go there. But for most normal installations, it's going to be located on your C drive. And if you open that, you go to Program Files x86. Then scroll down, you're going to see a folder called Steam. Open it. Then you're going to see another folder called Steam Apps, and open that. Then find a folder called Common, then American Truck Simulator, and these are all your game files. And the two game files that you're going to use more than anything is this base.scs and this def.scs. Now you can tell that these are zip files, but if you try to open them, you're going to get an error. That's because you need a tool to extract the contents of these files, and you can find that on the SCS Modding Wiki webpage. So if you just go into Google and you just type in SCS Mod Wiki, it'll bring you up to the right page, and you can download the tool to extract the contents of those files. Or you can watch my other video where I explain how to import a model into Blender, and I explain all that. But these files are large, and they take, especially this base, they take a long time to extract, so I'm not going to do that. I have already extracted all my files, and I like to keep them in a folder that's named the latest version of American Truck Simulator. So in this case, it's in a folder called 1.42, because that's the version of the game I'm running. You'll also notice I have another folder, 1.41, and I'll usually keep that until another version. I usually have two versions, the last one and the current one in this folder. So if you go into this 1.42 folder, you'll see that I have my base, and these are all the extracted files of that base folder. And then I have another folder called def, and these are all the extracted files of the def folder. And you're going to need both of them to create the mod. Alright, so I guess the best way to get started is I'll just create a folder on my desktop, and I'll just call it flatbed decal mod. and this is where we're going to put our mod in. We're just going to build this mod straight from scratch using the existing files, or using files from the base, the game base, and the game def folders. So most all mods have at least 3 files in it. The first file is the vehicle folder. So I'll create that one, and in this vehicle folder, this is where all your models will be kept at. All your 3D models are kept in this vehicle folder. And then you're going to need another folder called material. And then the last folder you're going to need is one called def. And this is where all your definition files will be kept at. So I want to copy the file structure of the game base and def folder, and I want to do it for the flatbed trailer because that's the model that I'm modifying. So if we go back into our game files, and once again I'm going to be working in this 1.42 file, and the vehicle folder is located in the base. So if I open the base, I'll scroll down, I'll find a vehicle folder, and I will just verify that I spelled vehicle correctly and vehicle correctly, because if you misspell any folder, then your mod will not work. So they have to be spelled correctly. So vehicle and vehicle, they're both spelled correctly. And then if you go into your vehicle folder, you're going to see a bunch of other folders. So in this particular mod, I'm modifying the flatbed trailer, and I'm doing it on a trailer that I will own. So you want to go into this trailer owned file path. So I need to create that in my mod. So I'll just put a new folder, and I will call it trailer owned. And then once again, take your time, make sure that your spelling is correct. So trailer owned and trailer owned. All right, so that is the only folder that I'm going to need for my mod. So if I open this trailer owned, I'm going to get the list of all the trailers that are ownable in American Truck Simulator. So I'm modifying the flatbed. So here there's a SCS underscore flatbed folder. So I will need to recreate that folder in my mod. So SCS underscore flatbed. Okay, so inside our SCS flatbed folder, these are all the files that are currently available for the flatbed body and chassis. Now, I don't need all these files. I only need the ones that work for my mod. But I do need these folders here. I need this accessory folder because this is where my decal accessory is going to go. And I need this chassis folder. So I will recreate those folders in my mod. So the first folder is accessory. And then the next folder will be chassis. Okay, so now I've got the vehicle folder. I got the file structure set up for my vehicle folder. Now I need to set up the file structure for my material folder. And the material folder is still located in the base, the game base. And then I will check to make sure that the name is correct, but spelling is correct. So material, so the names match. Then if you go into the material folder, these are all the materials that are shared throughout your mods and your games, but the one material that I'm looking for is this UI folder. And inside the UI folder, this is where your image will when you go select that pen in the game for the decal option, it's going to show you an image of what the option looks like. So that's kept in the UI folder. So I'm just going to recreate that UI folder in material. And then inside that UI folder, the only one that I'm interested in is this accessory, because that's what I'm creating, an accessory mod. So I want that folder. And then inside the accessory folder, these you can break it down into individual folders, but you can stop right after accessory. But you need a couple of files in this folder, and we're going to get it from our base. So we have, if you look, the files are groups in three. So you have a DDS file, and you have a mat file, and you have a TOBJ file, and you select all three of them and just copy these over. And it doesn't really matter which three you copy. You just need a TOBJ, a mat, and a DDS, and then we're going to modify these to suit our mod. But we've got at least the files to modify in our accessory folder. So now we're done with the material folder. Now we got to work with the def folder. So if we go back to our 1.42, we have a separate def other than the base. We've got a separate def folder. And we'll open a def folder, and you'll find a folder called vehicle. So we need to create another vehicle folder. And then inside this vehicle folder, the folder that we're interested in is this trailer owned folder. So we'll create a new folder. And we'll call it trailer owned. And then inside this trailer owned folder, these are all our trailers. And you'll notice that each one has a unique name. And this unique name determines which trailer your mod is attached to. So in this case, we created a mod for the flatbed, the SCS flatbed trailer. So we have to create this folder, this unique name folder, and it's got to be spelled exactly the same. You can't change it, you can't modify it. It's got to be spelled exactly the same. SCS dot flatbed. So SCS dot flatbed, SCS dot flatbed. And then if we open this folder, there's you'll see some other folders here that we need, and that first one is accessory, because that's where our definition files for our decal accessory is going to go. So we'll create that folder, and we didn't modify the body, so we don't need that, but we did modify a chassis, so we'll need to create the chassis folder. So and then you are going to need this configurations folder. So now a funny story here, when I was, well, it wasn't really funny at the time, but when I first did this mod to make sure that everything worked correctly, I left the S off on this configuration. And I spent about 12 hours trying to figure out why my mod didn't work in it. And after it was all said and done, it was because I left the S off that configuration. I spelled a configuration instead of configurations. So that's how important it is to make sure that your spelling is correct. Because if you put an extra I or an S, the game will just simply skip your mod, and it will, and chances are it won't even give you an error, and it doesn't tell you what's wrong. It just sees that it doesn't match, and it will just skip it, and it'll load in its own files. So I can't stress this enough. Make sure that your folders are spelled correctly. Now, there is one folder that I forgot to mention, and it's our trailer definition. So we need this. This defines our trailer. This is something that trucks don't have, but this is only trailers, and we need this trailer defs folder. So if we'll back up and we'll go into the vehicle folder, we need to create a new folder called trailer defs. Okay, so now I think we have our basically our mod files have all been created. We got the def, material, and the vehicle, and now we just need to plug in our mod into it. So for that, we'll go back to Blender, and you need to export all this, and you need to change. I can't remember if I told you in the last video, you have to have a separate chassis, so you got to rename your chassis. So in this case, I renamed my CH_3A for 3-axle, and then _PNT. And then your root objects for your decals, they can be anything you want to make them. Just, I always find it simple. Just say what it is and just call it 1, 2, and 3. Decal 1, decal 2, and decal 3. And now we are ready to export. Make sure that you're in object mode before you export, because if you got anything in edit mode, it will not export that piece. You will get a warning though, telling you that it did not export it. But just make sure that you're in object mode. Then you come up here to this icon. It looks like a little printer. And you scroll down and make sure that you're exporting to the base where your model came from, and that's important. So click on the folder out to the side, and this is indeed my base where my model came from. And this isn't the game base, this is the base that I made to convert my files, and I explained that in another video also. But this is the folder where I converted my files from the PMD to the PIT files, PIM files. So we are on the base, and then you're going to export it into a zip file. So I've named this zip file chassis_decal. And then the last thing that I need to look at is to make sure that I don't have anything in my base that's not supposed to be there. So in this case, I've done this before, so I have this chassis decal folder that is not supposed to be there. When I export, that's going to give you a lot of errors, so remove that. And then a lot of times I'll just remove a lot of these old files. So I'm left with all my original files for my mod base. So I go back into Blender and I will just pack this mod up, and hopefully we won't get any errors. So every mod is done the same way, and while this is exporting, I'll try to explain to you best that I know how the SCS files work. Is the SCS, when you start American Truck Simulator, when it starts loading in your files, it's going to load your mods first, and it's going to load from top to bottom. So everything at the top is your higher priority mods, and that's why everybody under the sun wants their mods at the top, because that gives the fewer mod conflicts. So, and a lot of times it's because modelers are lazy. They use a lot of files. They reuse a lot of files, and those files end up in several different models. They don't rename them, and some of those models are modified. And so, if your model's not first, and someone else's model's first, then it loads that first, and it will cause your model to malfunction. And that's why everybody wants their mods at the top. So don't get lazy when you create your mod. Always use, or that's why we changed this chassis. We created a new chassis instead of modifying the original SCS flatbed chassis. We just created our own, and we named it a unique name. So I don't have to worry about anybody having a mod conflict with this mod, unless by chance they actually named the frame the same name that I named this one. So anyway, when we export, you're going to get this zip file, and then you're going to get a copy. And this is good because if something messes up, you can always import these back into Blender. So you're going to get a Blender copy of the models that you were working with, and then you're going to get your converted files all in this zip file. So we'll unzip this, and we'll extract it basically into our base folder. And here it is. This chassis decal zip becomes this chassis decal folder. And inside this is our mod files. These are all our converted models. And this is an important file here. So every shader, every material that we changed or modified or altered, all that information is stored in this automat file. So we want to copy that, and we want to put that into our mod. We want to do that very first thing. And every time that you change something in Blender, make sure that you always copy your automat file over to your mod. Very important. And then here's our decal, and here's our 3 decals: decal 1, decal 2, and decal 3. And if you look at your TOBJ files, they were converted back into hexadecimal. So we'll just copy this decal and put that in our mod folder. And now we have to put, so we created, in the last video, we created a color. When we changed the frame to a painted frame, we had to create a color DDS file. We have to make sure that color DDS file goes into our mod. So it's going to be located right where we put it, but it's just going, the only thing it's going to do is going to convert our TOBJ. See, here's our color TOBJ. It's going to convert it to hexadecimal. So that's what we need for our mod. So we'll copy this, and we'll put it in our vehicle folder, and make sure it goes in the exact same place, or your mod, it'll be broken or it won't work at all. But we put it in the SCS flatbed folder. So we're in the SES flatbed folder, and we'll just paste it. All right, so now we have the color texture that we made for a painted frame. And now we need to add our models. So here's our chassis. So we'll open the chassis folder, and what I like to do, I'd like to cut. I'll cut it and then paste it. And that way I know that I've got all my model files. I can keep them straight, especially if you've got a lot of model files. That, like when I do a truck, sometimes I can have up to 15 different models that I'm working with. So I always like to cut them so it gets them out of the list, and make sure that I don't put a PMD file where it's not supposed to be, and it's also make sure that I keep all my model files together. So here are my 3 chassis files, and the way that I understand these chassis files is probably not correct, but this is a good way. Is your PMD? This is your 3D model. This is your wireframe file, and then this PMG file. This holds all your graphics for that model. So everything that had a color to it, every texture, this is in this PMG file. And then this PMC file, you won't have these on all models. This PMC is only on models that actually have a collision to it. So if it has collision data to that model, it will create a PMC file when you export. And that's why on these decals, all you have is a PMD and PMG, because there's no collision located on these model files here. So that's the difference. That's why you have 3 and 2. So if we go to accessories, we're just going to cut all these 3 accessory model files and paste it in accessories. And you got to keep your accessories straight. If you go back and you look at the 1.42 base, so 1.42, and go into base, go into vehicle, and we go back into trailer owned, the flatbed, the accessory. You'll notice that all the accessories are in their own folder, and I forgot to create a folder for the accessory. The accessory folder, this is my rule of thumb. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I usually make the accessory folder what I made the same name as my model locator. So if I make my model locator name is decal, which is right here, I named it decal. I could named it anything I wanted to, but I named it decal. And so I will create a folder inside this accessory folder named decal. And then these need to go into the decal folder. All right, so we are done. Now this is the easy part of completing the mod, is making sure your models go into the right folder. The hardest thing is this def folder here. There's a lot of room for errors when you create this def folder. So inside this trailer defs, we have to copy an SII file. So we go back to our game. This is our game def folder. We go back to vehicle and we find the trailer defs. You're going to see all the SII files for all the trailers that are located in American Truck Simulator. And what I normally do is find the chassis that I modified, which is the flatbed 3-axle 53-foot chassis. So So here's the SCS.flatbed.single, and I'm looking for the 3-axle chassis. And then here's your 53 3-foot 3-axle chassis, but you have 3 SII files. And the reason why you have 3, and make sure you copy, not cut. The reason you have 3 is because you got 3 different types of flatbed configurations. You got one that has a curtain on it, and you have one that's the flatbed, and then you have one that has the aluminum flatbed on it. So these are your 3 trailer definition files. And I do want to modify these to match our new chassis. So remember, we named our new chassis 3A paint. And the thing that you need to remember, that this has got to be 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm trying to count. One of these have to have a maximum character of 13 characters, and I can't remember exactly where it starts, and it may not be actually the trailer defs, and a lot of times that caused me some issues. So what I'll try to do, I'll try to just rename this file and use the same number of characters or less, because less is good, but over a certain number of characters, then it doesn't work. So I'll rename this first one. You want to keep the curtain. Anything that has the dot in between, I want to keep. So you got the SCS.flatbed, and then you have another dot, which is a single, because this isn't a conjoined trailer. This is just a single flatbed trailer. And then what I'll do, I'll just take this 3 out, and I'll just replace it with PMT. All right, so now we have a SCS.flatbed.single underscore 53 underscore, here it is, 53 underscore PMT dot curtain. And I'll do the same for each one of these. I hate it when I do that. So let me straighten this mess out. So, all right, I got the curtain, and I need a flatbed. I want to rename that, not delete it. And I'll just all right, so I got these renamed, and basically I replaced the 53 underscore 3 with the 53 PMT. And now I have to modify each one of these files. So we just add the 53 paint, and then I leave the rest of this as is. I don't need to change anything with this, so I'll just save it. All right, so now I have my 3 trailer definition files modified and saved. Now I need to work on some other files. So if I go into this trailer owned, this flatbed, uh, the next file that I want to add is the one for the chassis. So still working into my game def file. I go back to chassis. Trailer owned. Make sure you go into the flatbed, and then you want to go into chassis. And then I want to pick the SII file for the 53-foot 3-axle, which is this one. And then I'll paste that in my mod. But remember, we got to rename all these, so I'll just rename this. And I try to keep everything about the same, so I'll just rename this 53 3 paint. CH_53_3 PNT. And next thing we need to do, we need to modify it. So here's our data. Now this first part of this name matches your SII file. This is your unique name for the vehicle that this SII file belongs to. In this case, it's the SES.flatbed. And this is the accessory name. So we are in the chassis files, so this needs to be chassis. So we have to change this to what our SII file says. So we take that out and we name it PNT. And then we can name this anything we like. Painted 3-axle trailer. Okay. And then you've got some models in here that has to match. So the model, our PMD model, has to match our chassis that we made. So we go back to here, we call this CH_3A_paint. So I'll write that down. CH_3A_paint. So that is our model. And then our collision, remember we had the PMD, this is our PMC, and it matches the same, has the same name. So we'll just change it. CH_3A_PNT paint. Leave the variant alone, leave the default look alone. Trailer brace models the same. The sound. This extended shadow texture and this UI shadow. We're going to leave that. This is the original shadow that's used with the just a regular 3-axle trailer. And we didn't change the length of the trailer. We didn't change the trailer configuration at all. So these shadows should be okay. And you have your axle travels, and you have whether you want liftable axles. So here we have a liftable axles true. So the I think this goes from back to front. So the back axle is going to be liftable. The next 2 axles are going to be stationary. And these defaults, these are the accessories that will automatically be added to the trailer. In this case, it's going to add a flat paint job to the trailer. and it's going to add rear mud flaps to the trailer. And I don't think I have to do anything else with this file. So we will save it. And now we need to add our 3 accessories. So if we go in here, I'll create a new folder, and I always name this the same thing as I named my accessory folder in my vehicle folder, which is just decal. And then I'll just grab an SI file. It doesn't really matter which one you grab. Because we're going to have to modify these. So I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call it decal 1. And then we have to modify this line here. So remember, this is the same format as all our other SI files. The first part of this has to match your SI file. So this is decal _1. And then this is for the flatbed trailer, so it's SCS.flatbed. And then this last part has to match the folder, the accessory folder. And in this case, it's called decal. And then we'll just change the name, and we'll just call this custom decal. Price is a little high for custom decals, so we'll make this let's say 125 installed. We'll change the unlock to 1. We won't do the icon just yet, so it'll have the stock light icon with it. We do have to change this exterior model. So this is the same file path where our model is located at. So you got vehicle, trailer on, SCS flatbed accessory, so that's going to stay the same. Now we need to modify our accessory folder, and this was decal. And then our model was called decal 1. And this says that this suitable for, this shows that whatever this model is only suitable for these certain flatbed trailers. And we know this is not true, so we will get rid of all these. Don't need them. So I think we got this modified. It's decal 1, SCS.flatbed, decal. This is a custom decal. Price is $125. You can use it. It's unlocked at the 1 level, and this is our icon. This isn't going to be correct. We'll change that later on. Right now, I just want to make sure that the model works. And so our exterior model is in our decal accessory folder, and it's decal 1. So we'll save this. All right, so remember we had 3 separate models. We had a decal 1, a decal 2, and a decal 3. So what we need to do, we need to just copy this, paste it, rename it, decal 2. Rename decal 2, and then we'll just go ahead and paste the next one, and we'll rename this one decal 3. And then we got to change, everywhere we see a 1, we'll just change it to whichever SI file it matches. So in this case, a 2 here and a 2 here. And this will be think, let me make sure. Alright, so decal 1 is white and decal 2 is black. So I need to make sure these are right. So decal 2 is black. Decal 1 is white. And then decal, whoops, I'll make sure I save that. And then decal 3, change all these to 3. That's red. Okay, so now we have our 3 SII files for our decal models made. And then the last thing that we need to do is this configurations. And this is not hard, but this is, if you're gonna make an error, this is usually where the error happens. So in our configurations, here's our, we need this SII file, and then we need this folder, and make sure you get them both. You have to have the folder and you have to have the SII file. So these configurations have to match your definitions. So that's why I always like to use let me see. All right, so copy, paste. All right, let me slide that over for just a sec because I want to go back to my definitions and make sure it's nothing. So here's our trailer defs. So we call this a single underscore 53 paint, single underscore, so I need to rename this PNT. So these names match: single underscore 53 paint, single underscore 53 paint. Okay. Then we modify this, our trailer configuration. And then this is our painted 3-axle trailer. And this is a chain type is single. We'll leave the icon as is. The chassis got to match. And for that, we'll go over here to so in our chassis folder, the chassis got to match this SII file. So in this case, CH underscore 53 underscore 3 PNT. So CH underscore 53 underscore 3 PNT. CH underscore 53 underscore 3 PNT. Painted 3-axle. Okay. So that looks good. Go back to our configurations. All right, so all this is good. Now we have to do our folder, and inside our folder we got the curtain, the flatbed, and the flatbed aluminum. So here's our flatbed aluminum, flatbed, and the curtain. And you should be able just to leave these the same name. You shouldn't have to change this. No, I take that back. You do have, these have to match these definitions here. So this is our curtain, and the trailer definition. Here's our trailer defs. Flatbed, ses.flatbed, single, and basically we just need to change this to PNT, and then the body will stay the same. We're not modifying the body. So single underscore 53 PNT. So single underscore 53 PNT. And we'll save that. Then the flatbed. Should just only have to change that to PNT. So flatbed.single, flatbed.single underscore 53 PNT, 53 PNT dot flatbed. So that's good. Alright, so we got all three of these files modified. They match our definition files. We've changed the names of everything. We got our chassis. We got our decal accessories. I think we are almost ready to test this mod out. Sorry about that. So there's a few other things that we need in here, but we do not. They'll give us errors, but we don't need them to test this mod out. So the only thing you do is just put it in the archive, add to archive, select zip, change the extension to SCS, and just hit OK. And then we'll place this in our mod folder. Find the right folder here. Alright, so let's start American Truck Simulator and see if our mod works. Alright, so don't forget we got to activate our mod. So here's our flatbed decal mod. It's activated. And we'll go into our game and we'll keep our fingers crossed that everything works. So our computer's running a little bit slow tonight. Well, actually, I think it's my internet's running a little bit slow tonight. So I hope y'all are having a good night and staying away from COVID. Alright, so in order to test this, we'll go to trailer purchase. I guess that's the easiest way. And then our standard trailer, here's our flatbed. We'll select it. Go to customize. Then we just want to select our chassis. Remember, we called it a 53-foot painted 3-axle trailer. So here it is, painted 3-axle trailer. Here's our trailer. So so far so good. So we got the painted 3-axle trailer, so we should be able to paint this chassis. So if we go to paint, let's select armor green. Alright, so the chassis did get painted green. Change it to red, gray, blue, or we can just pick our own color. So there's white. Alright, so that's working like we wanted it to work. Now we need to make sure that our decals are working. So here's our pin for our decal. Click on it, and then these are our 3 custom decals. And remember, we didn't change the icon, so these icons are right, but it's $125 per decal. So this one should be black, and there's our black decal. And this one should be red. There's a red decal, and this one should be white. Let's change the color so we can see a little better. Alright, so there's our colored decal. So our mod is working, it just needs to be cleaned up, needs to have some images, but the hard part is done. So I consider that a success, but that's how you do any mods. Just make sure that you use unique names so that when somebody else uses your mod, or if you give it to somebody else, they don't have a lot of mod conflicts. But anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this. And I'll talk to you later. Class dismissed.